It's the loss we've taken as a family. And I don't want this to happen to anybody else.
1 year later, family members pushing for change after an incident that claimed the lives of 9 service members, the legal fight they're launching, and what they're calling on the military to do in the meantime. New CDC guidance on a spike in COVID cases has county officials reconsidering their approach. One option they're weighing to try to keep track of how the virus is spreading. And the changes coming to the workplace for federal workers, echoing a growing trend we are seeing in the public and private sectors. ABC 10 News at 11 starts now.
ABC 10 News at 11 starts now.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Virginia Cha. As San Diego sees an upward trend in the number of COVID cases, county leaders say they may be forced to reopen more testing sites. ABC 10 News reporter Natay Holmes joins us live from Choice View. Natay, the number of testing sites active now in this county is much lower than last year.
Virginia, at one point we had 42 active county-run or partner testing sites. As of today, there are only 19. But as we're seeing these COVID cases increase, county leaders are exploring more options to open more testing sites.
This is the Diamond Neighborhoods Family Health Center, just one of the active sites around the county. The locations range all the way from Fallbrook to San Ysidro. This includes areas in National City, Chula Vista, and El Cajon. And we're seeing a growing demand. The county just gave us numbers. There were more people who got tested yesterday than on the same day a year ago. The highly contagious Delta variant is becoming the dominant strain in the county. As a result, we are seeing more positive cases. As of Tuesday, there were 765 new cases. But just to give you a perspective, over the span of a week, San Diego County has seen nearly 5,500 positive cases. That's more than 500 per day. While the county looks into the option of adding more testing sites, leaders are urging San Diegans to get the vaccine. So far, only 70% of people in San Diego County are fully vaccinated.
And with the U.S. seeing more breakthrough cases, the CDC says fully vaccinated individuals should also get tested after being exposed, even if they do not have any symptoms. In Choice View, Natay Holmes, ABC 10 News.
Thank you, Natay. And this morning we learned Israel is leading the charge with its first round of booster shots. The country is now the first to offer Pfizer's COVID booster shots, starting with people 60 years of age and older. The third shots will start rolling out on Sunday for those who received their second dose more than 5 months ago. Pfizer says their trial data shows the booster shots yielding some promising results in shielding against the highly contagious Delta variant, and that they could apply for emergency use authorization for a booster in the U.S. as early as next month. California and San Diego are both backing the recent recommendations from the CDC, and that includes masking up indoors, vaccinated or not, in regions with high transmission rates.
Delta is just a different kind of beast. If we get people vaccinated who are not yet vaccinated, if we mask in the interim, we can halt this in just a matter of a couple of weeks.
That is the CDC pushing for mask use again, and now the White House could be ramping up its response. Later today, President Biden is expected to unveil new vaccine guidance for federal workers. Sources tell ABC News it would be similar to the mandate for California state workers. That means proof of vaccination would be required from workers. Otherwise, they'd be subject to various rules and restrictions. For federal workers who don't show they've been vaccinated, that would reportedly include regular COVID testing, strict social distancing, masking, and travel restrictions. Meanwhile, the president today also announcing he will allow the federal eviction moratorium to expire on Saturday. The Supreme Court last month ruled in favor of the moratorium, but only through the end of this month. The president is now pushing Congress to pass a bill extending the moratorium. The nationwide freeze on evictions has been in place since last fall. Now, there is still one in place in California through September. Right now, local officials and business leaders are laying out a plan aimed at cutting transportation emissions. 13 public, private, and nonprofit groups are launching Accelerate to Zero Emissions, or A to Z. The group is releasing the findings of a study that identifies the barriers to adoption of electric and hybrid cars. California aims to have 8 million zero-emission vehicles on the road by 2030. The San Diego region's share of that goal is 771,000. We'll have more on that plan on later editions of 10 News. And more funding for local infrastructure projects could be on the way after the breakthrough in negotiations on Capitol Hill. Republicans and Democrats reaching an agreement to move the $1 trillion infrastructure bill forward. ABC's Alex Perche has details on that and the potential roadblock waiting for Congress down the line.
A rare moment of bipartisanship in Washington. After weeks of negotiating, 17 Republican senators joined Democrats to advance a $1.1 trillion infrastructure bill, a major piece of the Biden agenda.
I want to commend the group of senators who worked with President Biden to reach an agreement on a bipartisan infrastructure bill.
We've shown America tonight that we can work together.
The bill includes $550 billion in new spending. $110 billion for roads and bridges, $65 billion to expand broadband internet, and $39 billion for public transit. All of it paid for using unspent COVID money, going after pandemic unemployment insurance fraud, and other means. It also honors President Biden's promise not to raise taxes on anyone making less than $400,000.
Your bipartisanship is built because of relationships. Relationships are built when there's trust.
But there's a larger battle brewing over a separate $3.5 trillion Democratic plan focused on so-called human infrastructure. The plan's opposed by Republicans. Democrats are looking to pass it through a budget reconciliation bill, which requires zero Republican support. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says she won't bring the bipartisan bill to a vote without the passage of this budget reconciliation bill as well. But the margin of support for the latter is thin. Democratic Senator Kristen Sinema announced via statement Wednesday that she does not support a bill that costs $3.5 trillion. The infighting over human infrastructure now threatening the bipartisan agreement. New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez tweeting to Sinema, "Good luck tanking your own party's investment on child care, climate action, and infrastructure while presuming you'll survive a 3-vote House margin." President Biden said as his human infrastructure bill moves forward in the Senate, there will have to be more compromise, possibly foreshadowing what he knows will be an uphill battle. Alex Perche, ABC News, Washington.
The families of the 9 service members who were killed during a training accident off the coast of San Clemente have filed a lawsuit against the manufacturer of the AAV they were in. ABC 10 News reporter Marie Cornell shows us why they say the company is to blame.
During the news conference that was held inside of the Holiday Inn, the lawyers called the AAVs these service members were in death traps, saying they were designed with defective equipment. We also heard from family members who spoke about their loss.
It kind of took my life. He left behind 7 other brothers and sisters. And they loved that boy. There's a hole in my family I can't fix. And I don't want another mother standing at a door at 7 a.m. with 2 casualty officers telling her that her son is missing.
Christiana Sweetwood couldn't hold back the tears as she spoke about her son, Lance Corporal Chase Sweetwood, who was one of 8 Marines and a sailor killed during a training accident last July, when the Assault Amphibious Vehicle, or AAV, they were in sank off the coast of San Clemente Island. Today, the lawyers representing the families announced they are filing a lawsuit against the manufacturer of the AAVs, BAE Systems, citing a design defect. The Marine Corps' official report says it was the combination of, quote, human and mechanical failures that caused the sinking of the AAV and contributed to a delayed rescue effort.
The real reason they died was there was no way for them to get out alive. And BAE Systems has known about this defect for decades, and they never bothered to fix it or notify the military.
Family members say they'd also like the military to keep the AAVs out of the water, fearful this type of tragedy will happen again.
We expected them to come back in his uniform. We did not expect them to come back in a coffin.
I did reach out to BAE Systems for a comment, but I'm still waiting to hear back from them. Reporting from Oceanside, Marie Cornell, ABC 10 News.